Just testing, just testing. Before we actually start, here is a copy of the Divine Comedy, selected cantos. Nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita mi ritrovai per una selva oscura che la diritta via era Samarita. Midway in our life's journey, I found I was in a dark forest, for I had strayed from the straight path. Isn't that absolutely wonderful? I love it. It is the most remarkable poem, perhaps the greatest single poem in history. Perhaps the Odyssey. But certainly one of the very best poems ever written. And in a moment we're going to kick off, we're going to start. I'm going to share with you 3 poems that I've written from my most recent collection called The Divine Comedies. This isn't one poem like The Divine Comedy. This is a series of lyrics, many of them based on Dante's Divine Comedies. Lots of epigraphs and quotations from Dante in this, and also structurally it takes a clue from Dante. Dante's Divine Comedy is divided into 3 sections. The section on hell, the inferno, and then moving from hell he goes up the mountain of purgatory, and then finally the traveller arrives in heaven. And so these lyrics are in 3 parts. There's some hell poems, there's some purgatorial poems, and there's some poems about heaven. And so, any moment now, I'm going to start. And I can't wait to meet you in this live performance. Okay then, so we think the technology is working, we think we're up and going. Are you ready? Linda's going to monitor your presence there and see who's signed in and who's watching, and I'm going to do the other bit of work, which is to talk to you and read these poems. So I think it's 4 o'clock now. 4 o'clock, Linda?
Yes.
4 o'clock. So, welcome. Hello. It's lovely to see you. My name is James Sale. You should all know that, but because of the lockdown, I've not had a haircut for over 2 months. I'm feeling slightly weird, slightly different, so I'm hoping you can recognise me here and now. Welcome to my home, or should I say our home. I would really love to reduce the distance between you and me and that screen that's separating us, so I could say, come on in, let me make you a cup of tea, let's have a cup of coffee, let's have a cake, let's do all those things that we normally do, but we can't do it. So I've got to do it now through the medium of IT, through this webinar. So welcome, and in case you're in any doubt about the context for this, it's simply this. 2 years ago, Linda and I had a major exhibition at the Upton House Country House on the far side of Poole called Unveiling Souls. And it was a 12-day exhibition of poetry and art. It was extremely successful. We loved doing it. We met so many people, hundreds of people came to it, and we were going to be doing it this year in June. We had it booked. It was all going to happen. It was going to be based on the theme of Dante, the widening circle, the cantos that I was writing, and some fabulous artwork that Linda has done and some of Linda's artistic friends have done, and we were all set for it. But man proposes, God disposes, COVID-19 came along, the whole thing was cancelled. We will want to do it someday in the future, but for now we've had to use our imaginations and do something else. And so during the same period of time in June when we would have been having that exhibition, we are going to be running a series of major events over those 12 days involving poetry and art by a variety of people, including myself, and obviously we're going to invite you to that. But what we're now doing is like some pilots to get us in the mode of doing this, because we've never done it before. I've never done it before. So we thought we'd start this Saturday with the prelude to my English cantos. My English cantos are long poems in terza rima based on Dante's model. And I'll say perhaps a little bit more about that anon. But as a prelude to that, I've written this book of Divine Comedies, which is a series of lyric poems, many of them based on Dante, which explore states of hell, of purgatory and heaven through these lyrics. And today what I'd like to do is I'd like to share with you 3 lyrics. Because of course there are 3 sections to the book, and so it seemed to me to be the perfect thing to do to kick off with the first section, which is the hell section, and to read you a poem from that section so you can get a flavour of what I'm doing. Now, if you've read the Divine Comedy by Dante, you will know that, of course, this happens in what Dante describes as the real hell. Not the world, the living world, the world of sunlight, but the real hell. But we also know that hell doesn't just happen in the real hell that Dante describes, it happens here and now on planet Earth. And we also know that it not only happens on the Earth, it happens up here in the human mind. 3 years ago, in May 2017, a terrible tragedy occurred, a terrorist attack at the Ariana Grande concert in Manchester. 23 people died in that, 139 were wounded, and over half of those 139 were children. It was an absolutely appalling event. And in a way, you know, how does one respond to this? And people all over the world did respond to it in their own way. I wrote a number of poems about it, one of which is in this collection, and it's called Hell Arrives in Manchester. And the preface, or the epigraph to the poem, comes from Dante's Inferno 32, where he said, "If I had words grating and crude enough that really could describe this horrid whole supporting the converging weight of hell." It's as if this weight is pressing down in the mind of this individual who is about to commit this terrible and evil act. And what we're all thinking is, if only we could stop this, if only we could change this person, if only we could do something to interpose before this evil becomes manifest at that music concert. So, hell arrives in Manchester. If only we could, but we can't, release some souls from hell through words, or maybe better, by some chant, so magical it would be heard, and in its hearing there'd be release, agonies reversing into peace. I see him now in Manchester, enwrapped in visions cold and dying, enwrapped in actions all one fester, a cosmos with one feature, crying. If only we could, but we can't. Free up the souls in hell by deeds, reach down, scoop up, at last replant somewhere where soil supports the seed, believe somehow some soul's new lease is justified by life's increase. I see him now in Manchester, enwrapped in visions cold and dying, enwrapped in actions all one fester, a cosmos with one feature, crying. If only we could, but we can't change fate, the wicked freely choose, enable them to shun the slant and murderous ways to hell and loss. Why can't each human live at ease? Why does their doorway not have keys? I see him now in Manchester, enwrapped in visions cold and dying, enwrapped in actions all one fester, a cosmos with one feature, praying. Thank you. So, moving on from hell and that very human experience of it in this world, I'd like now to go to a poem I've written about purgatory. And I don't know about you, but life is good. Life can be fantastic. So much greatness in life. But there's always been with me this sense that there's something missing. There's something not quite right about life, as great and wonderful as it is. And in a sense, I think mortality, when I was ill in hospital and I nearly died with cancer, and this idea of being dead is perhaps what creates this tension in us while we live. This knowing that things are coming to an end. That one day I'm going to die, I'm going to lose my wife, I'm going to lose my children, and my grandchildren, and my friends, and anything else I think I possess. When I die, I'm going to lose it. And when Dante reached heaven in the Paradise Canto 29 in fact, he expressed something similar when he said, "Breathe forth your words now, breaking at long last the fasting that has kept me hungering for food that I could never find on earth." Isn't that wonderful? The food he could never find on earth, the food that would finally satisfy him. And so this poem is called "For Food I Could Never Find." For food I could never find, how long I fasted I can't say. Always a fullness on my mind bid me hasten on my way. For food I could never find, how hunger drove me night and day, always somehow made mad my mind. I'd want to stop, but couldn't stay. For food I could never find, how seeming good, but tasting clay, always voracious in my mind. I'd start to focus, then would stray. For food I could never find, how meat at first turned quick to hay, always projecting in my mind. I'd start with yes, but come to nay. For food I could never find, how long for heaven I would pray, always the manna, thin as wind, evaporated on my tray. For food I could never find, and if I could never pay. Always that debt was on my mind, always in eating more delay. For food I could never find. Thank you. And finally, for today, a poem which I think is very appropriate for now. It's called "I'll See You on the Other Side." And I started talking today about the other side of this camera and we removing that barrier between us, the veil that separates us, so that we can have a cup of tea together, a cup of coffee. And in life, and with COVID-19 at the moment, there's so many barriers, other sides. We go shopping and there are other sides in the queue. We can't interact with people. It's this chronic thing. But the ultimate other side, of course, is the other side of death. We've all lost people we love, and they are on the other side, and we want to meet them. And I must tell you, before I read this poem, that there is a brilliant sung version of this by my daughter-in-law, Michelle Sale, who has the most divine voice, and it's on the website. If you don't like the poem, just go and listen to it to hear her wonderful voice. It is so expressive. I just love it. So, the poem, "I'll See You on the Other Side." I'll see you on the other side, if only. Life's a comedy, but there's a gap so vast, so wide, between our dreams and certainty. I'll see you on the other side, and surely there all will be well. No more drowning, caught in the tide, dragging us down, down, down to hell. I'll see you on the other side, despite the menace appearing in each thought, deed we've sought to hide, our evil devils sad, yet cheering. I'll see you on the other side. This one thing I pitch to my God, one jot outweighs all I've denied of faith, that I, with you, in good, flesh purged, depleted of all pride, will at last stand free from falsehood. Thank you so much for joining me and Linda today. It means so much to us. I hope you'll want to join us again, and I also hope especially you'll tune in to the Cantos series that we're going to be doing in June, and then maybe we can interact with you even more. Thank you very much. God bless.